Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the 500 Mile Podcast. My name is Justin Kolb, alongside Michael Skinners with the cameras. Once again, the names under the screens, we're getting better week by week. It's a steady improvement. Michael, we had some fun racing over there in Richmond, Virginia this week. Had two relatively calm races, actually, which was kind of a surprise, but both kind of felt very different in a very good way in terms of how the track was working each night and just kind of the action that we saw throughout each event.
Yeah, we definitely for sure saw two different styles of racing. Uh, with the groove widening out in the Cup Series versus the Truck Series. The one thing I will say is both races was classic Richmond, and anybody that thinks otherwise, uh, I don't really think that they've watched a Richmond race, since the early 2000s. So overall, I think we got two pretty good shows. We got the single version night race that I think we all like for nostalgia reasons on uh, was it Saturday for the truck race rather
Mm-hmm.
than Friday night. But then we got to see a extremely wide, Richmond Raceway, something that we haven't seen since 2008, in a rained moved race onto a Monday. So definitely something different. I thought it was pretty cool there for a little while. Um, and I don't think anybody expected it to be as wide as it turned out to be. My question for that is either going to be whether it was, I know they did some tire testing earlier at Martinsville for the short tracks. I wonder how much that played into it. If it was a different tire, I don't remember. I didn't actually um, remember seeing if it was a different tire than it was last time, or is it just because it was hot? So I don't know if we can actually explain it any better than that, just because we don't have anything to compare it to with a night race version with the next gen car, since both Richmond races were during the day this year. So uh, I think it'll be interesting to see what the next short track turns out like. Martins, when we go there, see if it improves there, and maybe it was more of a tire test deal than racetrack wise. But overall, I think everybody was a little bit happier this time around than they were last time. That's for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Do want to get into the cup stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later because we got to start out with the trucks first, which was kind of a weird race, Michael. We only had one legitimate caution. It was very refreshing. I'll say that. Maybe a little stale at times, but I mean overall still a really good show. And the fact that we only had one caution for kind of an incident that really didn't need to happen, we'll get into a little bit later, is pretty good for the truck series. And I mean, just the race overall was, as you said, nostalgic and at times fun to watch.
Yeah, like I said, overall it was a regular Richmond race. Um, and this is one of those ones where I don't know if it had to do with a little bit, cooler temperatures for the Saturday night race, but it almost seemed like the trucks were just too much aero, maybe, rather than more or less mechanical grip, and I think that's why the racing kind of suffered there. But it definitely seemed like whoever got out front or were in the top five, they pretty much stayed there. Stayed there the whole night. We had a few people come through the field, but really they couldn't progress, up more than seventh or eighth there. So uh, I like it. I love green flag runs at Richmond. Uh, I think the track reminds me, and I think a lot of people made the comparison too of those super late model races at the Snowball Derby. It's tire management, tire fall off, things like that. And I think the race would have actually been better. I think this is one of those kind of like a road course wise. I think the race would have been even better as a purist race fan had there not been the stage cautions, because we could have got some pretty good different strategies rolling on there. So yeah, one natural caution. I say one natural caution, but we all kind of know what happened there. But uh, yeah, overall, I thought it was a good race. I love Richmond as a race fan, so uh, you know it's one thing that I'll say is I like the green flag racing. I don't like all the wrecking that we've seen and become accustomed to in the truck series over the past 6 to 8 months. So it was nice and refreshing. And I think Chandler Smith put it best. We got to see some actual real racing, real tire saving, and at the end of the night, I think the three best. I would say that I see the best team, in the garage for the Truck Series side over there at KBM, and I think you saw one of the best short track racers in the country, um, right up there and winning that first stage. So I think that says a lot about not only their programs but the drivers that are behind the wheel.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we'll get into it quickly here. The one caution that we did have, and now we can show it to you. So that's pretty cool. Um, Move over here once I find where we're at. All right. So this incident with Carson Hocevar and Nick Lights was kind of a weird one. I don't really know what to make of it, Michael, and I really still don't. It kind of seems like he goes up and gets him, but I guess we can both be the judge here. We'll kind of watch it here and unfold. But obviously, he's letting the 18 by there. He's getting lapped. But at the same time, it almost just looks like he doesn't really turn into the corner. And that's kind of my issue with that. And I guess the bigger issue with this that I just kind of want to bring up is don't forget a couple weeks ago at IRP where with what, 5 to go, he wrecked the 91. And that was a flat out wreck down the front
Yeah.
straightaway. This one was a little lighter, I guess, but it still doesn't really look very good.
Yeah, and I think it's tough from the camera angle. I think each camera angle that we see throughout the replays here, we saw that first one, looking at turn one from grandstand view, and uh, here we're looking going into turn one, from turn one. You know, I think that more so my gut tells me that it was a racing incident just because once they go on the onboard, you can see how much the 33 was struggling just on corner exit, even like right here. Uh, you can kind of see he starts struggles more. And so the 18 is underneath the 42 at this point, and the 33 does make a wide arc into the. I mean, that's like an IndyCar arc that 33 truck was going to make. So from the driver point of view, or from the truck camera there, it almost looks like the 33 kind of caused it just as much as the 42 did. But definitely 2 weeks in a row to where the 42 has been a part of controversy. One was blatantly intentional that everybody knew. He even admitted it. I don't know how he doesn't get fined or point stopped, especially after what we saw at Road America, from Gregson. So, but that right there, I think that's just one of those. They both kind of didn't anticipate the closing speed, and then the 33 with that IndyCar arc. I've never seen a stock car arc that big into turn one at Richmond. Heck, I don't even think the arc was that high when they were running the high side on Sunday. Um, there. So, you know, from the outside, it looks completely like a dump job, but once you ride on view, you see the closing speed that the 42 had, and it looked like the 33's brake marker um, was almost the start finish line compared to the 42 and the 18 there. So I think it was a little bit of awareness for both drivers on that occasion. The 42 didn't see the closing rate. The 33 didn't see the closing rate and made that large arc. So I say it, with a grain of salt. My gut tells me that that's more of a racing incident than I think everybody is kind of making it out to be. Uh, but like I said, but if you watch those outside cameras, it 100% looks exactly like last week. Um, but just from driver's point of view, that's the one that's more prevalent to me, and I think it gives us a better idea of what the 42, and the 33 was kind of thinking there, because even uh, even Hosevar there, basically said, he's looking out that left side window, paying attention to where the 18 is at, trying to get as close to his door as possible to stop his momentum and not go a lap down. That, he wasn't aware of how fast and how early the 33 braked, and then with the huge arc into the corner. So, yeah, to me, my gut instinct tells me that that's just a racing deal. Um, I'm not sure that we're going to see anything of it in the coming weeks. I doubt it. but it definitely will be something to watch for the rest of the year, especially as we keep going into the rounds. Because if everybody is now realizing, hey, Hocevar is going to continue to make almost bad decisions. What Ryan Priest, you know, it's almost like we got to Charlotte with Hocevar, and he hadn't really made any noise. He didn't really do a lot of things wrong. He didn't really make a lot of mistakes, and it seems like once Charlotte happened and Priest made his comments, it's almost like all the things that Priest said is now coming to fruition almost, and it's kind of
It's like
it's
he
kind
put a
of funny.
spotlight on it.
Yeah, and it and somebody put out I think it was Hocevar or somebody with Ross Chastain, and he's like, oh, good job, teammate. Well, we're starting to see, I think, the Ross Chastain rub off on Hocevar a little bit, and it's Hocevar is now running like the last couple weeks, running that 10th to 13th kind of area, and I just don't think that he is handling that pressure um, of that trying to get that first win. I mean, because before Charlotte, the guy was first, second, or
Yep.
second, third, fourth, fifth. It was a question of when that win was going to come, and will it come next week? It's now who's he going to wreck next week? Who's he going to intentionally, wreck to try to stay on the lead lap? So unfortunate. I think that the scenario that he's going through right now, and I don't think that Nice Motorsports is doing a good enough job to give him trucks that are able to compete at this point. Um, I think they put a lot into that 42. I almost think they put their whole program at Nice Motorsports into that 42, just comparative with how they run. We'll get a better idea on that really when Chris Wright takes over the 68, because we know that 68 in the Xfinity Series, is a top 15 team every week. So we'll see how he runs there. But uh, for as much effort as they put into that 42 and them to kind of be garbage the past couple of weeks, and then Hocevar making light of running poorly and making stupid mistakes. It definitely, in my opinion, takes him from being a championship contender, you know, a month ago to now. I don't think that he'll even make it to the third round. I mean, heck, he might not make it to the second round at this point.
Yeah.
I think he's six below the cut line at this point. Uh, Crafton's running better than him. Even Ben Rhodes he's having a bad first two races there, but he's still, I think, good enough to finish 16 spots ahead of Hosafar at this point. And I think Eckes is actually running better than him and Kraft, and just doesn't have the finishes to ultimately show for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hocevar doesn't make it out of the first round just with what's going on.
And just to put a number on it, as we sit at the moment, he is currently 3 points below the cutoff line. So,
Eckes is
um,
6, right?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. With how good he was earlier in the season, it's just sort of a surprise to see him fall off when, you know, it's the time you're supposed to be turning it up. Um, and obviously, he had some rough goes throughout the season, the ankle injury being the biggest. But I mean, it seemed like for a couple weeks there, he bounced back from that pretty well. I remember Nashville had a good run there. Wasn't a winning run, but I mean, it was top five, I believe. But ever since that, that's kind of the only high moment that I can really remember at this point. Before it just seemed like he's fallen off, and um, have to see if he can catch himself in these next couple weeks. Because if not, like you said, he's probably not even going to make it out of this round at this point. So,
The
has
truck
some,
the truck speed just isn't there, and his driving isn't.
yeah, it's certainly not there at the moment.
Yeah, it's not there. It's not, and I'm not asking that he needs to make up for the equipment that he's currently racing right now, but the fact that he's just making the bonehead Ross Chastain kind of moves, kind of running off that same kind of mentality, that kind of puts you in a spot to not it puts you in a spot to not pick him for the next round, just because people are going to get tired of it
Yeah,
eventually, right? People have to. And the Truck Series is not like the Cup Series. The Cup Series, we're still waiting for Ross Chastain to be paid back, by a bunch of guys. Even Denny Hamlin says it's not over with that deal. But the Truck Series is not like that. They wreck each other for no reason, let alone if they have a reason. So,
I mean, John Hunter
definitely,
Nemechek proved that a few weeks ago.
yeah, I absolutely. So yeah, just not a. It wasn't a good night for him at all. Speed just wasn't there, and then like I said, making that bonehead move. And I think the part about that bothers me the most, and I'm sure we're going a little bit over on the topic here, but the fact that NASCAR not only said that he was somehow like go back to the like if you pull that replay again,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
swear there's no way that the 42 car was ahead of the 18 at the caution. I'm sorry. Like you freeze frame it, there's no way. There's this. It's not happening. The
Well, they
caution's
went
not
back.
out.
They did say they went back to the last scoring loop, but I don't know that they published those, so I don't even know when that would be. What, right
But
there?
but maybe I can't.
There,
Uh,
your point stands. There's no way that he should have been back on the lead lap.
no,
A, because of what he did there, but B,
he should.
because
I shouldn't
there's,
have got the lucky dog either. He wrecked the guy.
yeah. So
Yeah, that right there
that's,
to me is like one of those like this is that happened because of NASCAR not being like, hey, you know, cut that shit out. Had they said, hey, cut that shit out last week, I don't think that happens this week.
I mean, not. I tweeted about it at that, or I guess at IRP when the four wrecked the 17. It's like I don't understand. It seems like they encourage it more than they deter it almost. It's just,
Yeah, but and
it
then and then they want to step in when Hamlin and Elliott are basically not touching the one car at Gateway, but making NASCAR basically look like a fool. They're gonna step in then, but they don't care about wreck race cars. So, uh,
my opinion on it is I think it's slowly going to kill that truck series if we just keep going on that pace where we allow stuff like that to happen. But
I mean, hey,
I don't know.
I'm
It's
sure the Truck Series owners loved the race at Richmond. It was the first time probably in a long time they ain't lost money. I mean,
I think they still lost money,
let me
even though
let me see. Let me go to Bobby Pockrass. Let me see what the purse was.
good old Bobby
Um,
P.
and we can, if you want, you can move on next topic while I
Yeah. Well, I
uh,
guess
pull this
we'll
up. But
we'll move on to another guy that sort of struggled. Well, not sort of. He did struggle pretty heavily Saturday night. Ben Rhodes, nowhere to be found. Heard on the radio at one point. Fox caught it. I guess they had brought a new brake package to Richmond, and it did not work out like they had expected at all. Um, I don't know the exact words they said on the radio, but it was something along the lines of, "Yeah, we probably shouldn't have brought this week," or something like that. So, um, sort of a shame because he has a ton of speed usually each week, and he got lapped, I'm pretty sure, multiple times on Saturday, and now I don't know that it's too much danger at the moment, but he is seventh in the standings at the moment, 21 points above the cutoff line, which, I mean, he still has a pretty good gap because Matt Crafton is below him 3 points above. But still, can't have another race like that or else it's going to be game over pretty much.
yeah, but I think that if it was going to be a time to try it, now was the best time. He had a ton of playoff points in his bag, um, and they only got to go one more race here to the end of the next round. So I think unless he has a disastrous DNF, then we can kind of look back and say, oh, it was a bad move to test out those parts. But I think overall, I think it was a decent time to test it. You're not really going to get another chance for the rest of the year. And if it would have worked, they would have looked like geniuses, so type of deal. So they tried it, it didn't work. And that was one of those things. The difference between him and Hocevar is he was going to finish regardless, and Hocevar, uh, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, one more thing I do want to bring up, just because I had noticed it at one point during the race. We don't believe that Fox ever, during the course of that truck race, actually ever showed the standings below the top 20. I had noticed this at one point during the night, but didn't really think too much of it. And Natalie Decker on Twitter pretty much confirmed that they did not show below the top 20 all night. So, I mean, I know there wasn't a lot going on, but you could have at least got us that. I mean, it's not like you had anything else distracting you. So, that's I mean, that just flat out can't happen. I don't. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around that.
At this point, it's Fox. I mean,
I mean,
you
yeah, but
come, but you come to expect it. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but you ultimately come to expect them to put little or to no effort into any type of NASCAR broadcast.
do we know if they were actually
I
at the track this week?
I doubt it. I dollars to donuts. That there's no way. I don't think that they're, especially for a truck race. They're not going to go. Um, I guess it was Richmond, so I guess it's not too far away from the Charlotte headquarters. But I doubt it. I think they were in the Charlotte studio as they always are. But yeah, just a typical Fox. You know, it's they. We've seen for the past 2 years that they put little to no effort into almost anything NASCAR other than the Daytona 500, and it kind of just shows. And I don't expect to be any different. Next time around when the trucks race again, and we're stuck on Fox. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be a ridiculous amount of cautions. It's gonna be a caution 5 laps, before the stage break. It's just it's Fox, man. It's one of those deals. It's expected now. I don't get too upset about it. I didn't even pay attention that happened until you brought it up. So I don't know, man. Just one of those Fox deals, in my opinion.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll move on from Fox and the truck race. We'll go into results here, and it was, I mean, other than stage one, pretty much full domination from Chandler Smith in that 18 truck. I mean, pretty much from stage two on, had it on lockdown and kind of on cruise control. Some of the lap cars got in the way a little bit, but I mean, didn't lose the lead at all. Just a few challenges from John Hunter Nemechek in second. Chandler led 176 laps en route to victory on Saturday. John Hunter Nemechek finished second, only led one lap on the night. Ty Majeski was your stage one winner. He led 73 laps, pretty much all within stage one, and those 3 laps probably came after the caution. But he finished third, so a good run for him. Grant Enfinger in fourth, Corey Heim in fifth, Taylor Gray sixth, Matt Crafton in seventh, Christian Eckes eighth, Zane Smith in ninth, and Carson Hocevar rounds out the top 10. I didn't realize he came back for a top 10 after all that happened there. So
Well, and then there's only like 11 trucks on the lead lap at that point. So
that is true. That is true. That 18 truck was flying. All right, Stuart Friesen in 11th. Just go through a few notables here. Brett Holmes in 15th. That name sounds familiar for some reason. I can't put a car number on it, though. Ben Rhodes in 18th. Lane Riggs in 19th. There he is. Roger Cruth in 25th. Haley Deegan in 26th. And Nick Lights in 36th. Michael, is it safe to say that Nick got Uji this week?
absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, well, I mean, we didn't really have a lot of options there, but yeah,
No,
I
that's
mean,
true.
just full on, kind of a bonehead type deal. So yeah, he got a Wuji for this week. Uh, but I mean, man, seeing there was what 14 trucks on the lead lap, and it would have been probably 7 had that caution not come out there for Hocevar. So tough, tough race to not be on your game, that's for sure. And with so little pit stops that the Truck Series have, uh, you know, you kind of saw early on how that was going to turn out. The one thing I will say is, I don't know if the 66 pit crew ultimately lost in that race, or if they just ultimately lost the handle, or if it was just a track position race. It seemed, I guess, like I said earlier, it seemed like whoever kind of got out front kind of drove away and just kind of was able to hold it there,
Yeah.
um, overall. But I think it was a good race. Good race for my pick. A okay race for your pick. I think overall it was a pretty good
Yeah,
weekend.
it's pretty
Um,
quiet. Still got top 10.
yeah, and like I say every week, I think the 66 right now is by far the best Thor Sport team, um, going to the racetrack right now, and I think they get better and better every week. And if we keep going to more and more short tracks, I think he's gonna eventually getting one. But overall, I thought, like I said, I thought it was a pretty good race. I enjoyed it. Um, I like long green flag runs at Richmond. It reminds me of early 2000s, mid 2000s type deal. So it was nice to see everybody on their P's and Q's other than hosts of our Wu-Jing lights there.
For sure. Well, Michael had Ty Majeski this week, and I had Zane Smith for those who don't remember. So, yeah, both top 10s this week. That's pretty good. All right. Anything else we want to talk trucks before we move on to Cup?
No, I think that's good.
All
At
right.
least for this weekend. I think we talked about Hocevar enough and his
Yeah.
bonehead move.
I mean, there wasn't much else that happened. So,
That was absolutely nothing else that happened.
yeah. It
Which
was
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure from a outside fan's perspective, that doesn't like green flag racing. I'm sure this race was terrible. Um, but I think you got to see, like I said, you got to see who the really really good trucks were and who the really really bad trucks were.
yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's move into the Cup Series race, which, yeah, as we kind of foreshadowed before, was kind of a completely different track than it was for the Saturday night race. Um, I think some of the things that you mentioned, just it being in the day, obviously it's a lot warmer. I don't have the numbers for it, but I feel like it was a lot warmer than it was back in, I guess it was the spring race. Um, and that track was just unbelievably wide. And I sort of kind of started thinking about it in my head. I was like, well, it's a new car. Maybe they'll try and widen it out the second time around. And then it was like 5 laps later, Christopher Bell was up there ripping the top. And I was like, oh, damn, I guess it does kind of work. And then everybody was up there. It was pretty incredible how quickly, once they saw that 20 car making all that time up there really early in the race, how quickly everybody else jumped up to it. And wasn't the predominant lane, but Michael, it was good to see that kind of both lanes were working throughout most of the race, it seemed like.
Yeah, we got to see early on at the top once when there was nobody running the top was extremely dominant. I think we saw, Christopher Bell go from like 25th to 11th there, just within the span of 10 laps or so. And then you kind of saw everybody migrate back down to the bottom. And I think at the end of the race, I think the only person that was still trying to rip the top was Kyle. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that was the best groove even for his race car at that point in time. Um, so I think that it was cool that it gave them the opportunity. Uh, I think what ended up hurting the high lane is everybody got a little bit better on the bottom, and the high lane just eventually became too far around to make it work. So overall, it was nice to see the track widen out. I think in my personal opinion, I think it would have been better had the second lane not been so high. Maybe second or third groove rather than the fourth. I think it would have been able to maintain a little bit better, especially later on in the run. But a lot better race and a lot better racetrack than we saw back when was it March or April.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, I mean, a couple of things to talk about. I did not have Harvick going back to back on my bingo card. I'll just put that out there right now. But I'm not terribly surprised about this at the same time, just based off like what I mentioned last week, just the speed that they've been having. They've been getting progressively better each week, and now they're at a point where they're winning races, and they have two of them now in the bag. And Michael, we're about to start the playoffs, and that could be very dangerous for this playoff field if he can stay hot.
Could be. I don't know, man. Things are so different with this new car. Um,
I
I
will
don't.
say,
Harvick wasn't the best car in either one of these races. It was kind of a right place, right time type of deal. And honestly, we could say that about a lot of the winners that we've had so far this year. Right place, right time. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Momentum is always good, but I think and somebody brought up to me the other day, that it's kind of like kind of reminds them of Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus back in the 2010s. They would start off the season, get a win or two, and then would just be absolutely awful in the summer. And as soon as the 10 races hit, or right around the Brickyard 400 time, they'd start picking pace back up, and they'd go out, win some more races, and win a championship. I don't think that it's going to be like that this year. Um, I think Harvick could go out and run 15th this week, and us be like, oh, they lost their speed, type deal. So I think with this new car, I think it's so right place, right time, right setup. I think that you have to hit all three of those, even more so now than last year or the year before. Um, so yeah, yes, is he hot? Yes, did he get 2 wins in a row? Will it mean that he's a championship favorite? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Um, I don't know.
Couple.
It's just tough to say with this new car. That's one thing we've seen a bunch of drive. I mean, the easiest one is look at Chase. We're look at Chase first. He went first, second, first, second, first, second, and then runs like 25th. Speed 25th on speed at Michigan. Luckily catches a few breaks and gets a good finish. And then same thing, we go to Richmond. He finished first, second, first, second, first, second. Sucked at Michigan, and then he qualified on speed 28th. So it's so hard with this new car. Same thing with Kyle Busch and the 18 crew. They were at one point 16 points behind Chase Elliott for the regular season championship, and he went 8 weeks without a top 10. So it's just right place, right time, right setup. I don't think that nowadays. I don't think you can miss any of those and win a race.
Fair enough. I do think, just a counterpoint, and it's going to lead into another topic here, um, that a lot of these teams are starting to get their arms around this car. So I'm not sure that. Obviously, the year's not over, but we are pretty deep into how long we've been working on this car. It does seem like a few teams are starting to get their arms better around it and get a better understanding of it. One of those teams being RFK, which I'm personally so happy to see for a guy who watched them go from, one of the top teams just falling off the face of the earth. They're finally starting to get momentum back. Christopher Buescher, and I'm so glad that Dale Jr. used his power to extend that name. But yeah, if you didn't know, he's Christopher Buescher now. It's on the car this week. It's over the door, so it's official. He even changed it on Twitter, which is pretty cool. He's going full in on this, and I love it. I love that he's playing along with this. But RFK, Brad Keselowski was in the mix for a little bit on Sunday. I want to check where exactly he finished because I do know that he was up there at one point. Looks like he had fallen off back to 15th at the end of it. But I mean, Christopher Buescher. I guess I meant to call him Chris, but Chris Buescher, third this week. But it seems like the momentum he's been carrying over these past few weeks, Michael. I don't know. He's gonna need a win either this week at Watkins Glen, which he has a very good chance of doing, or at Daytona, which he already has one this year technically in the duel. I know it's not the same, but he has two pretty good chances to make it into the playoffs. I don't know that he can make it past the first round if he does, but man, that team is really making a case for themselves going into the playoffs here. They're getting hot.
Yeah, they're certainly running a lot better. And like you said, even Brad had a really really good qualifying, and ran in the top 10 for most of the first half of the race or so. You see glimpses of the speed. I think we're finally seeing what Jack Roush saw in Chris Buescher, some 10 years ago at this point. Uh, I think he is a lot better than the equipment that he has been in. And I think he's finally getting to show it. And I think he's getting to that position, kind of like Bubba Wallace. He took a lot of the blame for finishing second on Sunday, saying that he ran his tires off type of deal. So kind of in that same position as Bubba over there and the 23 crew. Now they're learning how to run 10th. Now they got to learn how to run in the top 5 and then go for some wins. So definitely starting to see the speed pick up. You would be crazy to say that the 17 and the 6 won't be factors when we go to Daytona in 2 weeks. So I don't doubt that they're getting better every single week. I think this year it's going to be just a little bit too late type of deal, but I think next year they'll come out swinging. Um, the one thing that I will say for you know you brought up that these teams are starting to get a handle around these new cars. So unfortunately, we're in a time where it's more, simulator work than practice work. There's only so much you can change on a race car, which is so strange to say. There's only some things you can change on a race car when you actually get to the racetrack. If you didn't plug it into a computer and, hopefully that computer is this as close as it can be to the real life racetrack, that's kind of what you're stuck with. But I think what you're seeing is you're starting to see there's a difference, and I think you and I can both agree on this. There's a difference between people who are really, really good crew chiefs, right? And then somebody who's just on top of the box. And I don't know if we're necessarily seeing these guys get the handle on the car 100%. I think we're starting to see better crew chiefs rise to the top. Um, in the Gen 6, Gen 5, Gen 4 era, you could kind of mask a bad crew chief with a bad driver. I don't think that you can mask a good, I don't think you can mask a bad crew chief with a good driver anymore. Um, and I think a big point of that is, and I didn't even realize it, is some of the most I think all of us consider some of the most talented drivers in a cup car have one or no wins, and they're in top tier equipment. Their teammates have, won a couple times. Um, so I think now we're starting to see it's more of which crew chief is able to make better adjustments, make better decisions throughout the race. That's making race winning cars and 10th place cars at this point. Um, I still think that they're throwing a bunch of stuff at these race cars at the shop. I still think there's going to be more penalties handed out towards the end of the year. If there's not a disqualification in the final four race from a car, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a really good point that I had never even really thought about. It's kind of gonna make me think going forward this season. Um, yeah,
Like if I told you this year that we are in August, mid August, um, and that right, and the reason this car is supposed to be so similar to every single other car right there, is to bring out the best drivers and to produce the best racing, right? That's what we've been told several times over.
that's what they
So if
sold
I
us on.
told you that what I think everybody considers in the garage, that the two most talented drivers in the Cup Series right now, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, each have one win in what is supposed to be a driver's car, right, compared to the others, wouldn't you think that their talent would rise to the top? But we just haven't seen that. The same guy that won 10 races last year has one.
I
His
will
team
say
his
he's.
his teammate Chase Elliott, who didn't win a cup race for his first 5 years, won a championship, didn't win on a oval for 2 years, has four wins, and is the leading driver, in the win category. Um, so
I will say one Kyle
I
is
don't
a
know.
lot closer than the other at the moment, but
Uh, on paper, maybe, but how many times has the 18 come to the racetrack just as fast or faster than everybody else, and the crew chief makes a bad decision or the car gets worse throughout the year? And I don't think it's any different than Larson. Larson, we've seen him run up front and then fade towards the end of races. I'm not saying Cliff Daniels is a bad crew chief or he lost what made him good last year. I just think that we are now seeing the best crew chiefs rise to the top. I think hands down the best crew chiefs in the Cup Series right now, even though everybody hates on the poor guy when Chase doesn't win, is Alan Gustafson, Chris Gabehart, and Rodney Childress. I think hands down they are the three best crew chiefs right now in the garage. And the other person I put up there, uh I can't think of his name.
car numbered.
It's Christopher Bell's crew chief. I can't. Who was with Kyle for
Adam Stevens.
Adam Stevens, right? we've seen that car in the past 3 to 5 weeks be much faster than it was right at the earlier part of the year. And I don't think it's because the car's any faster. I just think that the crew chief's making better decisions. Right? You look at New Hampshire, that car ran like ninth. Crew chief made good decisions, put a driver in the ability to win the race, goes out and dominates the rest of the race. Michigan, again, puts his driver in a good position to win the race. Unfortunately, makes a bad decision, gets crashed. Again, Chris Gabehart. I know James Small made the decision too, but Chris Gabehart, Adam Stevens made the decision that won them the race in March or April, whenever it was. Right, they made that decision and they almost won it. Denny Hamlin should have won it had he not had a pit road, penalty issue. But I think right now it's more of a crew chief race than it is a driver race. I don't think the driver is making that much of a difference in this car than the person on the pit box.
Fair enough. Something to think about for sure, week in, week out at this point. And I'm sure that'll become more prevalent as we get closer to Phoenix. So, one last thing that I wanted to talk about, and we have a replay for this. I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this because I still don't know what to think about this.
Ricky Spinhouse?
That's right. So,
or sorry, not Ricky Spinhouse. I forgot.
Yeah.
Not the W. This isn't the first time that Ricky Stenhouse has hit Martin Truex at Richmond.
That's right. Spun him out in 2019 when he went on to win. But I don't really understand. You know what?
All right. So, again, I think this is one of those where from the camera that they first show, it makes Ricky Stenhouse look a lot worse of a driver.
Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't look much better in the second replay, let me tell you.
No, but Richmond is and I know you can agree, and I'm pretty sure every single one of those race car drivers can agree. I would say Richmond, probably Las Vegas, Charlotte. Those are some of the hardest pit roads to get onto when you're trying to make time.
Quick question, by the way, not to cut you off. Did he? I know he was speeding on pit road. Did he ever get a commitment line violation for that?
I don't think so
because he's in the same boat as that.
I don't think he got a commitment cone violation because he didn't pit.
Well, that doesn't matter. He still ran over the cone though, or the box. It doesn't matter. He got a speeding penalty anyway, so his day was over past that. But
yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember if he did or not because he got that speeding penalty. But maybe that negated it. Maybe they were like, well, we don't want to give him 2 pass-throughs. But I mean, I think this is a relatively good video right here. So scroll back a little bit farther, Justin. All right, so it doesn't show his entry, but you can see. So if you go back to the very start of that video, like as far as you can go back.
We'll slow it down a little bit too.
So go back a little bit more. Yeah, scroll from here. So you can see that he's already shallow, right? So if you pause it, Justin, go back like 2 seconds. Keep going. Right when he enters the pit road. And then pause it like right after that. All right, so right here, this is a pretty good view. All right, so keep going, pause it.
That's the best
right. Okay, so he's already at a shallow entry, right? We already see that he's a shallow entry. He's not going left anymore. He's already starting to widen out. So go ahead and play it. So he's already too fast. He makes the decision, which what an odd decision to do what he did there, but he didn't want to hit the box. So I get that part of it. But he entered too fast. He was way too shallow, right? So the only direction he had to go was out. Right? I mean, like I get that he missed it, right? And I think it was just one of those things where, there was no awareness. And, I don't blame him for missing pit road. I don't blame him for hitting Martin Truex. I think it was just wrong place, wrong time. But even on entry there, he was never going to make it. He was too fast and he was too shallow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from right there, it was too late. And I mean, I'm pretty sure Martin Truex now next time he sees Stenhouse going into pit road, he runs the second lane from here on out. But
Hopefully he
you
learns
can
from the
put
second
it,
time.
you can put it on Ricky for missing pit road. I just think that the contact was kind of
Well,
one of those deals.
and it's a good thing that he got him pretty much, in the door rather than, maybe in the front bumper where he
The
gets
most
hit and he goes
impressive
straight into
part,
the wall.
yeah, but the most impressive part is the right front tie rod on this 47 car didn't break or
You
didn't
know
get
what?
bent.
And you know what I just realized, Michael? They had the stupid fucking bat hood on this weekend. Boo them.
Well,
Boo them.
so
If you
so
don't
did
know,
you
this
see
is kind of
that?
like a running joke with us. I'm sure everybody else has
Right.
noticed that the Kroger, they do it so that the review camera can catch it, but it just looks awful and ugly and we hate it.
So I read. I'm sure you did as well, and I'm sure a lot of other race fans did. NASCAR fans did as well this week. But so NASCAR paid Forbes or whoever it was to basically tell them that they made the right decision by moving the number forward, that it adds more brand exposure. Right? NASCAR
I did not hear about this. Is there
paid
an article about
Forbes
this?
for this. Yes, it is. Uh, so like you go through the comments and it's like, I don't know, a trillion people. Oh, we think oh, it's so good for sponsorship. Oh, moving the numbers forward. Uh, I just thought that was funny with us talking about moving the logo down. Uh, and people are like, oh, we think the numbers there are better now than they were on the door now that I'm used to it. So it was funny. You have to go back. You guys have to go back and read that
Yeah,
article.
you have to link that
Um,
to me.
I'll see if I can link it to you. But uh, yeah, I just thought that was funny, especially with you know all the sponsorship trouble that certain people are having. That the brand exposure is supposedly high up, but NASCAR is the one that wanted Forbes to run it. So I thought that was pretty funny.
And there was a pretty good point, just speaking about numbers, made this week about I don't know if you've noticed how Trackhouse has been slowly but surely pushing their
Moving the
numbers
numbers
back
back.
to the door. Yep.
Yeah.
They, to be fair though, they were one of the ones from the start that never really had it up front like some of these other guys have. They, from the start, from what I've noticed, have had the furthest back numbers of anybody in the field. You really notice it on the one car, how it's kind of just in the first quarter of the door. The 99, you can still notice it though. It's pretty far off from that front wheel. So,
Yeah, I mean, and I think one thing that's really funny, and one thing I love about Kevin Harvick is that he has Bush as a sponsor, and they always have good paint schemes, and some of them are funny. But the way that if you go back and look at, like, I don't know, the past like 10 weeks, the way that they have handled the whole moving number forward is they just started adding more letters after the word Bush. Like the logo is exactly where Bush is and has always been. They just started adding more letters to it to make it go farther to the fore.
that's awesome. I had not noticed that.
It'll be like Bush.com, or it'll be like, Bush Mountains.
Yeah,
You start adding letters to the end of the word Bush, but the Bush is still in the same spot. So I thought that was pretty funny.
interesting. I'll have to look at that. All right. I think one more question that I have here for Cup before we get into results, and it was one that was asked on Door Bumper Clear this week, and it's one that I want to present to you. Does Richmond still need 2 races at this point?
Okay. So see, that's a different it's I kind of look at it a little differently, right? We're both Richmond racing's good races. Did both of them come down to late race decisions? Right? I mean, if
I
that's what
guess.
we want, close finishes as fans, right? We want uh strategy to be just as important as having a fast race car, right?
I
right?
guess
The reason people don't want Richmond is because it's a, again, just like Chandler Smith said in his tweet, it's a driver's racetrack. There's not crashes because they're too busy driving their race car, right? What produces crashes? If you go back and look all throughout time, the hardest racetracks to drive are the ones that the drivers love, and they have the least accidents. Why? Because they're too busy driving their goddamn fucking race car to try to be three wide like Ross Chastain every 4 minutes. Look at Atlanta. Everybody loved Atlanta. Was there a lot of cautions at Atlanta? No. Old Texas before they made it shit. Was there a lot of hell? There was a Texas race where there was 234 green flag laps to finish it.
it's
And you know
2013.
what? It had a really 2013 Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson.
Oh,
And
okay.
there was a close finish
2012.
with like 20, yeah, okay, with like 20 to go. Um so were those good races? Yeah. Did they have a lot of crashes? No. How'd they do in Jeff Gluck's poll? Poorly. I uh, listen, people who vote for dumb shit and people who don't want Richmond to have two races are the people that are drinking NASCAR's Kool-Aid, that get bored at what short track racing is every Saturday night, right? NASCAR wants to be Bowman Gray every week, right? I want to be every other short track in America. NASCAR Bowman Gray, I want to see racing. NASCAR Bowman Gray, I want to see racing. Just go back like to the Nashville GP. Everybody thought that the Nashville GP was a disaster. Twitter disaster, right? But had that race went green all the way, it wouldn't have been as good. It would have got a 0. This one probably would have got like a 15. So I mean, heck, there's already talk of people wanting Texas to be turned into a super speedway. You know, we need to quickly figure
I'd
out
like
if
to
we
turn into a
are.
Walmart,
I think it should turn into just dirt.
a Bucky's.
I don't think that land's big enough for a Bucky's. They have like 1,000 gas pumps. That thing's
It's a
ridiculous.
big ass track.
Not as big as a. I guarantee you, a Bucky is bigger than that racetrack.
Probably right. I don't know that
Oh,
I've ever been to Texas, so can't
but
guess.
I don't know, man. I think that NASCAR needs to figure out what their identity is. I think that we are going, and I said this a couple months ago. I think right now that we are going through identity crisis in our sport. Are we racing or are we entertainment? I think, and I bring it up, and I don't like to, right? But Formula One, right? They care about the racing product on the track a little bit, but they don't care. You're gonna go, right? You're gonna go because it's Formula One. You should want to go because it's a NASCAR race, right? People go to watch their favorite driver win, right? But if your driver doesn't win, you don't hate the race automatically, do you?
No.
So just because there wasn't a flip on the front straightaway, race car drivers don't have concussions. Oh, not a good race. There wasn't enough crashing. Oh, we actually saw really good side by side racing. Everything that we complained about the first Richmond, right? We not only got what we wanted in the side by side action, we also still got the good strategy and good finish. Why are we complaining?
That's exactly why I'm asking you this question. If we
I,
have one race that's single groove, granted the finish
yeah,
of the first race
exactly.
was good, that's why I'm asking you. Why should we have two and risk one being, a single groove racetrack where we could just have the one where it is now? I still think it needs to be moved as the last race before the playoffs. That's just my opinion. But
I think I
go
think
ahead.
that we need to come back. I think desert. Okay, we wanted more short tracks. Why are we getting rid of a short track? Right, we wanted more short tracks. We shouldn't be going out and creating more short tracks when short track racing sucks? Right, it's just road course racing. Why are we adding more road course races when right now road course racing sucks? Does that make any sense? Not one road course race has been good. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna add more, and now we're gonna go to fucking Chicago and do some street shit. Does that make sense to you? No. Short tracks. They have been awful this year, other than I thought the Richmond race was pretty good. I thought the New Hampshire race was pretty good. How about we just let it go a little bit and see what it's like? I'm not saying that it deserves 2 dates. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve 2 dates. But I think we come back next year with a different revised package, maybe no diffuser, maybe it's a little bit easier to run behind people, right? Maybe NASCAR and Goodyear bring a better tire. And I think maybe just give it a shot, right? Because what happens if we make the same mistake, that we kind of did with California a couple years ago, right? So we took 2 dates away from California. We took California away from uh what is that, Labor Day weekend, right? Because it wasn't very good. Right now, everybody is depressed that it's being destroyed. Why is it being destroyed? Because we didn't appreciate what we had, and now we're losing it because we gave it 1 date. People stopped showing up. You know,
Don't get me started. I can tell you exactly why we didn't appreciate it these last few years, and it was not the
oh,
track.
absolutely. But that's what I'm saying though. Is
I get exactly what you're saying,
before
though.
before we jump the gun on something, before we saying that if you go back 5 years, everybody loves Richmond. Richmond's one of their favorite short tracks. The truth of the matter is NASCAR is chasing a different type of fan that doesn't appreciate or doesn't have the attention span for 100 lap green flag run. And if that's the case, then I don't know. I don't. I will no longer be a NASCAR fan if we go to a 10 lap race. Every 10 laps we throw a caution, right? Which doesn't that sound familiar? What happened? Where was that happening? That every 10 laps we threw a caution,
Sounds like
right?
2016.
Well, no. Every 10 laps, where did we throw a caution at? Right, Indy.
Oh, never mind. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Go back to 2008. What happened after that? How bad was the attendance? How bad
Yeah.
was that
Nobody,
race?
nobody came back after that, pretty much.
Right? Is that what we want our series to be? You might as well take away pit crews at this point. Take away pit crews. They can just, it'll be a 100 lap race and we'll have a caution every 15 laps so they can crash. The only reason people didn't like the race on Sunday is because there was green flag racing. Because there was action everywhere. There was passes happening everywhere. The leader didn't run away from the field. It's not like it was the truck race. Had we gotten 2 Richmond races like the truck race or the race that we saw, earlier in the year, that still had a really good finish, how are we complaining? I think we need to relax. I think we need to get past 1 year into this race car, see how it's going to be. And I told you earlier, we're going to Watkins Glen. This to me is going to be the true test
Yeah,
of how
I remember you saying that.
this car is going to be on a road course. Sonoma has always been Sonoma, right? We kind of expected that. If you watch any type of racing that goes to Circuit of the Americas, it looks just like the Cup race. You watch GT racing, that's how it is. Circuit of the Americas is a downforce racetrack. If you take away downforce from the car behind you, it's harder to pass. All race cars rely on downforce. The people that think that downforce didn't exist in '04 when everybody loved the Gen 4 car are stupid. They're just dumb. Back then, they just had more horsepower and more mechanical grip. NASCAR tried to give them more mechanical grip back with a wider tire and independent rear suspension. But all of these racetracks so far have raced how I kind of expect them to be. Road America, it was a little worse than I thought it was going to be. But again, if you go back and watch the IMSA race, it's kind of exactly how it was going to end up. That's just kind of how it is. That's how those racetracks race. Watkins Glen has always been the best road course that NASCAR goes to. It's always been the best road course that has the most action. This, to me, will be the determining factor on how this car performs. I guarantee you that this car is going to go out and it's going to perform really well. The most difficult sections are going to be going up through the S's to follow, right, to make a pass going down into the bus stop. The same thing can be said after the bus stop going through the carousel. Going through the carousel, it's going to be hard to stick next to the car behind you going into turn 10, the left-hander. If if the car is good enough through there with mechanical grip to overpower the downforce that it's going to be lacking from the car that is in front of it, then I think that the car will perform well. If it struggles going up through the S's and behind other cars, it's going to be a crappy race and it's going to be nothing but like we saw at Run America. Because the biggest problem is this car does not draft well. It doesn't, the car behind does not gain a lot by sucking up to it. So it's very hard to make a pass unless you are already better than them going through the center of the corner. You know, I think it's going to be how well you can follow through those two sections on the determining factor on how well the race is going to be.
Fair enough.
But I
All
think that
right.
same thing that goes with Richmond though. You take away more downforce from the car in front with the diffuser, you take away the underbody. I think it not only makes the short tracks better, it makes the road courses better. So I think NASCAR will make an adjustment over the off season, and you know we'll see what we can happen. But to say to start taking away racetracks now, right? I think is a bad decision because we haven't seen the evolution of this race car. Right? We started taking away mile and a halves from the Gen 6. We now have this car. Now we want more mile and a half because that's by far the best racing we've seen. It's really, it's, you know, it's funny how those things turn out. But I think we need to, in all honesty, I think we need to worry less about having such a diverse schedule, right? To having a schedule that maybe just suits the race car better, right? Ebb and flow with the way that the series ebb and flows. NASCAR is the only sport, only motorsport really that can really do that, right? They're the only people that own their own racetracks half the time, or have, you know, the only motorsport event that goes on at that racetrack every year, right? So NASCAR has a little bit power over the racetracks more than IndyCar, you know, Formula One, things like that. You know, so I think that we need to see how NASCAR adjusts for next year. You know, it's the same thing that I used to say when we had, you know, in 2014 we had the high downforce, high horsepower, or medium downforce, high horsepower, right? Then we went to low downforce 750. If we would have just left it alone from 2014, who knows how good the racing would have been. The problem is NASCAR just doesn't leave stuff alone. We have had a different racing package every year since 2013. Every year it's been different.
Yeah.
Right? Other than the shit that we had in 2019 and 2020, but that's
Don't want to talk
I
about
don't
it.
want to talk
Yeah,
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
to
talk
talk
about
about
it.
that. So, yeah, that's I think let NASCAR make an adjustment and then see if it's any better. Right? And then if it's good, then just stick with it. We'll let the teams get better with this car. Because if you keep throwing new shit at them every year, you're going to have one team that's going to be good, one team that's going to be bad. And then by the end, we're just all going to be kind of, you know, jumbled up to where we're at. So, yeah, I don't, as far as Richmond losing a date, I'm not sure that you need to make a decision based off two samples with one race car. Because you got two completely different races.
Fair enough. All right. You want to get into results here, and then we can go over some news.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right.
Did you? One thing I will say, I did not know that Chad Chastain was Ross Chastain's brother.
I did know that. I don't know why he was in a race, but I mean that's still
Two.
pretty cool.
He's been in two races.
Don't know why, but
I don't know either.
I
Didn't
don't
even
know
know
if
he
he's a
existed.
racer or not. So
Well, he is now.
I guess so.
Well,
I mean, you can
to be
put
honest,
anybody in a truck to be fair. So
well, and in a niece backup truck.
yeah. So
It's what's sad is he did finish above the other niece truck, and Dean Thompson.
yikes.
So
I think him and
at least Lawless Allen beat him. You know.
oh okay. Well, I was gonna say Lawless Allen was the other questionable there. So all right, let's get into results here. Kevin Harvick, as we mentioned, goes back to back. led 55 laps en route to victory, but wasn't too far behind Christopher Bell, who almost pulled the same strategy that Denny Hamlin did last time we were at Richmond. Quite literally just came up a lap short. I mean, he had another lap. He was going to win that race, no question, but fell a lap short of victory, finished second. Chris Buescher, as we mentioned, a solid third place finish, was there in second if Christopher Bell didn't pull that strategy. Denny Hamlin in fourth. You'd mentioned, or I don't think we'd mentioned, he shot himself in the foot on pit road. Jack
Again,
dropped.
every
What?
week.
Yep. Jack dropped. Front or the left front was not on the car, so they had to jack back up, put it on, and send him on his way. Lost a ton of time there. So he came home with fourth, led 22 laps. Chase Elliott finished in fifth, led one lap. I wonder if that was during caution. Had to be, or not caution, during green flag stops. Joey Logano finished in sixth, led 222.
222.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I didn't realize he led that many laps.
he had the best car up until I believe the sun disappeared. Once it got cloudy and overcast, that car didn't, or just wasn't the same past that. So that's when Kevin Harvick capitalized. And Martin Truex Jr. came home in seventh after pretty much complaining how terrible the race car was all day. So salvaged
And
top 10 out of it.
and
Eric
still
Almer-
lost points to Ryan Blaney.
Eric Almirola in eighth, Kyle Busch in ninth. Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 10, led one lap. We'll mark out a few notables here. Bubba Wallace in 13th, Kyle Larson 14th, Brad Keselowski in 15th, Ross Chastain in 18th. That was my pick. Your pick, Eric Jones, didn't have a great day, but
He
neither of
had a
us.
decent day going, and then he shot himself in the footing. I just gotta stop picking him.
So, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 22nd, Noah Gragson 24th, Corey LaJoy 28th, and Eric Jones 35th. Did
Only
have
12 cars on the or sorry, not even 12. Only 11 cars in the lead lap.
yeah, and
And by
Ty
the way,
Gibbs finished
Kyle
36th.
Larson, Kyle Larson finished 14th, one lap down after starting on the pole.
Yeah, only 11 cars finished on the lead lap. So, all right.
Well, Custer, after starting seventh, a solid 26th, three laps down.
Solid, solid.
That's a good. How did he lead two laps? I'd be three laps down. That's impressive.
I would have to imagine that was during green flag stops.
How? Three laps down.
I don't know, man. It had to be earlier in the race. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so that'll do it for us for Cup here. Want to get into a little bit of news before we move on to this weekend's race in Watkins Glen. First off, was just announced today that the news that both of us, I believe, were kind of expecting. Kurt Busch going to miss the final two races of the regular season, Watkins Glen and Daytona. But again, I believe we mentioned it last week that was kind of what we assumed was going to happen just based off the dangers of those two tracks. There's no reason to put yourself in harm's way with that. Plus, don't know if he's 100% ready to go yet at this point, so no reason to risk it anyway. Just, get yourself ready for the playoffs and get yourself ready for Darlington. Michael, I don't know if you have anything to add on to that.
No, I think that is the best decision for him. It not only keeps him out of the pressure of having to jump back into the race car, right after he's ready. Just because the doctor says, "Yeah, you're ready to go this week," doesn't necessarily mean that is the best decision for somebody that's in their 40s to automatically hop back into a race car, especially at Daytona of all places where we know what's going to happen there. So overall, I think that is an extremely good decision. He is high enough in I believe Bob said that he's high enough in the points and the playoff standings that two more people would have to win a race on the outside looking in for him to be bumped out off of points. So he's far enough. It very well could, but he does have a pretty good buffer into that area. And we'll kind of go from there. But I think that is a good decision for Kurt Busch's future. I certainly hope, like everybody else, that this is not the end of his career and this is not the way that it ends. It would be a sad ending to a historical career, and especially to one that has had so many ups and downs. I think everybody at this point wants to see Kurt finish on a high. So I think that, as like I said, I think it's a good decision, especially after some of the contact and some of the crashes that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. I think that is a good decision to come back at Darlington.
For sure. All right, next up, I got some status of some of the Stewart Haas racing cars that, you know, kind of waiting to see what happens with that. Greg Zipadelli, and this is per Daniel McFadden on Twitter. He said, "quote Greg Zipadelli says it's expected Cole Custer will be back in the number 41 next year, and it's the number 10 car the team is still trying to work out." And I don't know if I want to speculate on this too much, but we've heard that Eric Almirola is considering coming back based on the speed that he's had this year. Sort of like I think he was gonna pull a Rusty Wallace, but he's sort of realizing that he's still kind of got it, so he doesn't want to go away too quickly here. But the 41 car, and this is gonna kind of go hand in hand with what we're gonna talk about next. But the 41 was kind of up in the air with Cole Custer. There was talk that maybe he would go to Rick Ware Racing. This is all kind of speculation at this point, so again, I don't want to go too deep on this, but I don't know. I guess with Cole Custer, if he does come back, there's probably going to have to be some wholesale changes with that team.
Absolutely. I don't think that. Listen, I mean, the guy is an Xfinity Series winner. He won 7 races in one Xfinity Series season.
He's not
He's
terrible by
already
any means. We'll get that
no,
out of
he's
the way.
already won an Xfinity Series race
And a cup race.
against somebody that we call Cup ready and Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson, right? Went out and stomped them all at a driver's racetrack like California. Um, so I think there's got to be wholesale changes. It's almost like the curse of having a fourth race car, and it's always kind of seemed to be like that. There's always one race car in a four-team group that always kind of lacks behind. Uh, for a little while there, it was the 19 and the Gibbs stuff uh, when Carl Edwards left. It was the 20 there for a little while after Kenseth was kicked out. We see it with a Hendrick Motorsports car every year. I think last year the 24 wasn't very good, and this year I think the 48 has been mediocre at best. Other than his 2 race wins or 1 race, I don't remember how many he has,
Just
but
one in Vegas.
um, yeah, so it was
I'm
one
surprised
race
you forgot
win.
about that. That one still hurts.
Well, yeah, I try to forget those things. Those they
Fair enough.
get blanked from my mind. Uh, and kind of the same deal here with the 41, which it used to be the 10 when Kurt was in there. So I don't think you can necessarily put it all on the driver. I think that it's just kind of a product of having 4 teams. One team might just not be good, but I definitely think that wholesale changes. He's going to be in it next year. They have to. They're not going to give him Rodney Childress. You know what I'm saying? But they have to be able to find the best available option that gives Cole the best option, um, and kind of go from there. Um, but yeah, they got to do something, because the guy he can't run 26 every week.
No. All right. I don't know that I want to dive too deep on this, just because we talk about it literally every week. But there was some news this
I think
week that,
everybody talks about it every week, every
yeah,
day.
it's a dead horse at
Like
this point.
I,
So,
I think I, I think I saw one tweet where somebody was like, I hope it was towards the news that for the rumor that we're gonna bring up, but he basically was like, he's like, God, I hope that it's true. Just to the fact that saw the podcast and all these people can just talk about something different.
yeah.
Because I
So,
mean, even DBC again back on it this week.
yep.
Every week, every show, every podcast, it does not matter if you follow NASCAR, if you are a NASCAR podcast, NASCAR news media outlet, anything, you are talking about this one subject, and until this one subject goes away, you're going to hear about it every day.
I mean, it's for a good reason. So, yeah, it was reported, I believe, on, was it DBC or I don't know if another news outlet.
LaJoy, it was
Okay.
stacking pennies.
Okay. So yeah, it
that
was announced
basically
that I believe two Chevrolet teams and one Ford team currently have an offer out to Kyle Busch at the moment. Um,
LaJoy
there,
also said that in his opinion, and with what he knows going on in the garage, I don't know how much he knows, but it's coming from a driver in the Cup Series garage that he is 100% out of the 18, which I don't think is necessarily true. Um, and then the other rumor, with the other Chevy team, I don't think that one's true either. Um, but yeah, so definitely a lot to talk about in that subject. And we really won't know a decision, Justin, until one comes out.
I just want to point out there is some talks that that Hendrick Motorsports could be a possible landing space. There was an article that I found from 2007 from ESPN saying that it was Rick Hendrick's words that he hoped. I believe it was the. I gotta find this article again. Where did this go? Basically, he hasn't closed the door on Kyle yet. Um, get his exact quote. He's 22 years old. He's got to see what it's like, or what the world's like, and what other teams are like, and what the best fit is. That was from 2007. I'm hoping that this deal happened with the relationship, that he can come back, that we can hook up again. And those were Rick Hendrick's quotes from June 13th, 2007. So, a very long
There's
time
and
ago.
there's one thing that I want to point out regarding the situation too is I think Kyle's 37 now. I think at this point, so everybody's really seems to be concerned about his age. Getting up there, to his mid or to his late 30s at this point. Um, One of the most astonishing stats that I think I've ever heard,
Yep. I know the
and
exact
I
stat you're going to hit me with.
and I didn't realize it until they said it, is Kevin Harvick won like 12 races at RCR. You know what I'm saying? Like it might have been more, it might have been like 20 or something. But he has won so much since he's turned 40 years old. You know, I don't I don't think that Kyle is going to get worse. I don't think he's going to slow down. You know, I think Kevin, we kind of saw Jimmy Johnson's career decline, but I think that had to do more with Hendrick Motorsports speed than anything else. But overall, we're not really so worried about his age. Uh, I think if you go back, another good example is Denny Hamlin. He kind of went back, through kind of a slump, kind of a similar deal. Went through a bunch of crew chiefs, found a crew chief, and, he's won a bunch of races since then. So I don't think that necessarily his age is going to stop anybody from signing, Kyle Busch, especially if it's somebody like Kendrick. I know one of the people, there was a tweet there that's saying, why would you get rid of Alex Bowman, who I think is 22, for Kyle Busch, who's 37?
He's not 22.
Well, I don't know how much he is, 26, 29, whatever. Anyways, it still fits my point. Why would you get rid of somebody 20 years, 30 years
29.
younger? uh why would you get rid of somebody younger for somebody that's in their late 30s into their career? Well, there's a good example. Look at Kevin Harvick. I mean, look at to me, the easiest option, even better than that, is Denny Hamlin. I mean, the guy's won what, let's see, 7, 11, 13, 15. So he's won 15 races over the past 3 years, over the age of 40. So I don't think that the age is a difficult thing there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see Denny Hamlin. I don't see. I mean, hell, look, I don't see Kevin Harvick slowing down. So I'm not sure that age is such a big deal now as it has been in the past. And I think that goes for all sports. I think in all sports that it is evolving. Um, that the teams in the field and the fields for races continue to get younger and younger, but I think that the older generation is still just as viable as they were before.
And some news that we were all hoping to hear. These are just reports at the moment, nothing confirmed, I don't think, but there are reports that Texas Motor Speedway may be going through a reconfiguration at some
They blow
point
it
in the
up.
near future,
I
and
hope they blow it up. I hope
they
they
could
put it
either,
on a New Year's special
yeah.
and just blow that piece of shit up.
We both knew, and I don't know if I want to spend too much time on it just because we don't have any more news than that. But I mean, I think we both knew that something had to change, either a reconfiguration, something like that, or they just had to get rid of the track altogether. It was pretty much
Blow it
one of
up.
those two options.
Blow it up.
All right, Michael says blow it
Let
up.
let Jerry Jones have it.
All right, fair enough. And just one more piece of news here before we move on. There's no Robbie Gordon racing this weekend. If you know, you know.
Oh,
All right, let's move on to
fire.
the weekend the weekend schedule here. Um,
If anybody doesn't know, you got to go back.
uh,
Justin, I,
it's in,
I had no idea, but
listen, if you know, you
Justin
know.
showed it to me. So
If you know, you
maybe
know.
Justin will put the video down on the link.
If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, let's get into the weekend schedule here, which we can show you this week. Look at that. It's on the screen now. All right, so this is gonna start all tomorrow night. Well, I guess not tomorrow night, but tomorrow. Mainly ARCA, it appears. So
Oh,
if you're down,
Arca is on TV. Wow.
where are they racing? Is it Watkins Glen?
Watkins Glen.
Are they actually at Watkins Glen this week?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, all times, as you can see in Eastern Standard Time, it's all going to start at 3:15 for practice, and then a little bit after at 4:25, going to be qualifying. No TV coverage for that. They're going to have a press pass with Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. Cool. 6 o'clock, going to be the General Tire Delivers 100. That's going to be at 6 o'clock. Catch it on FS1. Listen to it on MRN. Going to have post-race press pass as well. And that'll do it for Friday. Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Going to be a press pass for Project 91. So I guess we'll be talking to Kimmy. That'll be pretty cool.
I mean, it won't be very long conversation.
No. Yeah, if you forgot Kimmy's racing this weekend, which I don't know how you could have forgotten, but
And listen, I want every design team to be like Trackhouse design team. Bro, their cars are so nice.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
they're so good. I don't know. For anybody that hasn't seen Kimi Räikkönen's car this weekend, oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's so good looking. Oh, so good looking.
All right, yeah, if you forgot Kimmy's racing. So 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time, going to be practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You can catch it only on the NBC Sports app. Hopefully it works for you that day. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, going to be a press pass with Ryan Blaney. 10:35, 5 minutes after that press pass, a.m. going to be qualifying for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Again, catch it on the NBC Sports app, barring it working.
And just to point out, Kyle Busch has another press pass again this week, this time by himself. Very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
2 weeks in a row with the same driver, especially with it being Kyle. We know that Kyle hates media.
Catch that 11:15 a.m.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's going to be, an announcement or anything, but it does kind of seem rather suspicious.
I think last week he just sort of like rattled off the issues they were having with the team, so maybe it's another rallying cry. I don't know.
In Bayshore.
Can only hope.
Did I say that out loud?
Can only hope. So it looks like practice is going to be a little weird. It's going to start at 12:05, but it's going to air on USA at 12:30. So you're going to miss probably the first group, if I'm guessing. Well, yeah, you're
and
going
it's
to miss
going to be on that stupid app.
the godforsaken app. You're going to miss the first group of practice, pretty much, is what I'm going to call out, because it's going to be 30 minutes per group.
Why can't we just put it all on TV? Just start fucking practice at 12:30 then. Why does NASCAR do this dumb shit?
I don't know.
Oh, that's so stupid. Just put the whole damn thing on TV. Oh.
But yeah, catch practice on USA, the app.
Next year,
put it all on Peacock, man. That's all. You don't even have to put it on TV. Just put it all on Peacock. I don't want this app in my life anymore. I just want it gone.
Hell, if we're gonna have Fox again next year, we might miss the first stage of the race next year.
probably.
Ah,
So yeah, watch
oh.
it on USA.
Well,
Listen
if
to it on
Jeopardy
MRN.
or one of those game shows, Family Feud.
Anyways,
Race starts at 12:05. Family Feud doesn't get over at 12:30. Sorry.
105 catch qualifying, same stuff. And then post qualifying, you'll get a press pass with probably the pole sitter, if I had to guess. 3 p.m., you'll catch the Sunoco Go Rewards 200 at the Glen. Catch it on USA, maybe the app. Listen to it on Sirius XM and MRN, and then you'll have a press pass with that.
Why not?
And
I just don't understand, Pete. Like what why not just use Peacock? Why
I
use
don't,
NBC
I don't know.
Sports
I
app?
don't.
That doesn't make any sense.
Listen, it's
Every
whatever.
every time you say it, I get more and more confused.
I don't get it either, but it's whatever. As long as it works this given week. 3 p.m. on Sunday, catch the Go Bowling at the Glen. Catch it on USA Sports app. Again, barring it working, listen to it on MRN and Sirius XM. And there's going to be a press pass after that. So we'll get into the entry list for this weekend. Zoom it in so you can see, even though it's still a blurry mess because that's just a PDF. That's pretty cool. I can't show you the whole thing. Michael, I'll let you pick first here. We'll start with the... Oh, that's the cup. I had it backwards. The Xfinity race at the Glen. There's no sponsor listed for this. The Sunoco Go Rewards 200. Who you got?
Hmm. That's a good one. I almost don't like going first at road courses.
Do you want me to
I
go
almost like
first?
Sure, go ahead.
AJ Allmendinger. I
I
can't believe you just gave me that.
I mean, technically, you picked him at Portland, and he wrecked on the pace lap.
He did. He did. But he still came back and won it. So
He still won the race.
a few notables that we should point out that are in the field this weekend. Kyle Larson is one of them. I think in the 13, Brad Perez, even though he's not on this entry list, I don't think. But I know that he's going to... See it racing the 17? Yeah.
Yep.
So there's going to be 200 car schemes out there this weekend.
Yep, the exact same paint scheme. One just has Boulder red. And no, I'm not kidding. That's
not going to be confusing at all.
And Kyle Weatherman, just so everybody knows, is in for Iwuji this week. He has finally, I think, started to understand that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was announced.
Confirmed? Okay.
Yeah. Yep, because he was originally going to be in it, and then they moved Weatherman onto the entry list.
This must be a pretty old... Oh, no, there he is. Timmy Hill. I don't believe... Yeah, Brad Perez is going to attempt a run in that 13 car this weekend, barring them qualifying. So, have to see what happens.
Oh, man. My pick.
Sammy Smith in the 18 this week, by the way.
Yeah, that's not my pick.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Just pointing out.
I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs. I really don't want to, but I guess I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs.
I feel like both of us are going to be battling for that win at the end. That's what I feel like.
Brandon Brown is in the 5 this weekend after it was announced earlier that Chris Wright would take over the driving duties for the 68.
Good stuff. All right. Well, that's
not good stuff for Brandon Brown.
Well, no,
but at least the car is still out there. That is an important part of it.
Yeah. Tough deal for Brandon. It's just tough. That's all I'll say. We'll move into the Cup Series here. You want me to go first again?
Sure.
All right. I'm going back for back. Actually, no. I'm going to be picking... where is he? There you go. I'm going to be picking Kimi Räikkönen this weekend.
Okay. That's cool.
That's cool. A joke. I'm picking AJ Allmendinger.
Oh.
I'm surprised you were so calm about that, actually.
Listen. I almost want him to go out there and just whip the field. How awesome would that be?
He's not going to. He's going to spend half the race asking where his drink is.
But that's
also a few notables. I guess we should point out here.
There are seven different countries that are represented in this race.
Do you have this information pulled up? I
No,
will
but I
pull it
can
up.
look at.
Nope, I will pull it
I
up
can
then.
look at. We'll just look at their hometowns.
Well, I have a thing right here that'll show me. So hang on just a second. So a few
It's
notables in the field. Mike Rockenfeller is going to be driving the 77 Spire Motorsports this weekend. As we mentioned, Kimi Räikkönen. And here is the list. So yeah, 7 different countries represented. Kimi Räikkönen from Finland, Daniel Suarez from Mexico. Uh, I don't. Loris Hezemans, I believe is how you pronounce that name, from the
close enough.
Netherlands. Mike Rockenfeller from Germany. Daniel Kvyat from Russia, and Kyle Tilley from the UK, and obviously everybody else from the United States. So, pretty historic moment. It's going to be pretty cool to see so many different countries represented in NASCAR this coming weekend. It's not something that you really see ever, so going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm going to pick Austin Cindric.
That's a bold pick. I like it.
Well, yeah. Austin Cindric. I feel pretty confident with that one.
All right, fair enough. Final answer. You're locked in.
Final.
Final. I just want to see if there's anybody else that I'm missing. Joey Hand, of course, going to be in the 15. And I don't think that there's really anybody else that sticks out. So I think we got everybody. Okay.
And as far as announcement goes, it was announced yesterday in the early mornings that both John Hunter Nemechek and Joe Nemechek will team up at Daytona in the Sam Hunt Racing Toyota. So that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully Joe can qualify into the race, but it'll be cool to see father and son out there on the high banks of Daytona.
For sure. I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten to mention that. I did remember seeing that. All right. Is there any? I think that'll pretty much wrap it for us this weekend. I don't think I'm missing anything, Michael.
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. F1 and IndyCar
where are we
are
at?
still off. They don't come back until September 4th. So we got a couple more weeks without the other
Where's
two major
IndyCar
series.
gonna be at when they come back?
IndyCar will be at the Grand Prix of Portland, and F1 will be at one of my favorite racetracks on the planet, at Spa.
All right. So good stuff coming up.
So we all know that there's gonna be a massive crash at Portland on lap 1.
Yes, for sure. Anything else racing this weekend that we know of?
Nope, that's pretty much it. MotoGP also has the week off, I believe. Let me pull it up real quick just to make sure. Oh no, they do not. They are at the Red Bull Ring, which they have a new layout this year for the MotoGP bike. So that'll be pretty interesting with the championship battle shaping up there as well, getting a little tighter up there at the top. So I don't know if Justin, you've watched any MotoGP. You should. Most of the time, it's actually on Sunday afternoons here in the United States. They normally have a replay of it. I think it's on NBC. Does a little recap on it. Definitely worth a watch. Those guys are incredibly insane. So,
Yes, they are.
But I think that'll just about do it for major motorsports racing action. Right there.
Good stuff. Well, I got nothing else. So, Michael, you want to take us to the house?
Absolutely. Well, as always, my name's Michael. His name's Justin. Now that you can actually see them on the screen, it's right underneath it. We're not lying.
And our Twitter handles, if you want to give us a follow.
And our Twitter handles. Mine is pretty entertaining. I get pretty animated over some things, so that's probably worth a follow right there. But as always, thank you guys so much for listening and now watching. It's fun to be able to get to do this every week, especially with Justin, especially with the people that are listening, and we hope to continue to grow. And we hope that you like our point of views. I don't think either one of us are afraid of criticism either. So if you don't necessarily agree, that's fine. Let us hear it. Reach out to us. But as far as that goes, it is late here in the humid ass weather in Florida.
Oh, buddy, it's the same over here. Let me tell you. Actually, let me see the humidity here real quick. That's been the best every night.
Oh, we're gonna have a humidity off before we leave.
You're probably gonna win, but I'm at 73% right now. It only happens during the night. It's great.
You might be a little higher than me right now.
I was gonna say there is a reason that I have just this tank top on right now. It has been brutal these past couple weeks, and I don't have central air in this house, so or this apartment.
No, you lost 90%.
Oh, all right, yeah. I was not expecting to win that battle, so.
Listen, it's 80. All right, so temperature-wise, it's midnight. It's 1 a.m. over here in Tampa, Florida. It is 80 degrees with 90% humidity. There's only one place on the planet where you can go outside and sweat at 1 a.m. Oh, it's a sauna. But now that our humidity battle is over, again, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We appreciate all the feedback, and we will talk to you hopefully on Wednesday next week. We might eventually get one on Wednesday, but like I said, my name's Michael. His name's Justin. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy NASCAR racing at the Glen.